Hi guys, I am back and ready to read another chapter of Stone Fox. Today we will be reading chapter 7 called The Meeting. It was Friday night, the night before the race, when it happened. Grandfather was out of medicine. Little Willy went to see Doc Smith. Here, Doc Smith handed Little Willy a piece of paper with some scribbling on it. Take this to Lester right away. But it's nighttime. The store's closed. Just knock on the back door. He'll hear you. But are you sure it's all right? Yes. Lester knows I may have to call on him any time, day or night. People don't always get sick just during work hours, now do they? No, I guess they don't. Little Willy headed for the door. He sure wished he could stay and have some of that cinnamon cake Doc Smith was baking in the oven. It smelled mighty good. But Grandfather needed his medicine. And, anyway, he wouldn't think of staying without being asked. One other thing, Willy, Doc Smith said. Yes, ma'am? I might as well say this now as later. It's about the race tomorrow. Yes, ma'am? First, I want you to know that I think you're a darn fool for using your college money to enter that race. Little Willy's eyes looked to the floor. Yes, ma'am. But since it's already been done, I also want you to know that I'll be rooting for you. Little Willy looked up. You will? Win, Willy. Win that race tomorrow. Little Willy beamed. He tried to speak, but couldn't find the words. Embarrassed, he backed over to the door, gave a little wave, then turned quickly to leave. And Willy? Yes, ma'am? If you stay a minute, you can have some of that cinnamon cake I've got in the oven. Yes, ma'am. Later on his way to town, Little Willy sang at the top of his lungs. The sled's runners cut through the snow with a swish. This was a treacherous road at night, but the moon was out and Searchlight could see well. And anyway, they knew this road by heart. Nothing was going to happen. Lester gave Little Willy a big bottle of what looked like dirty milk. How's your grandfather doing? Lester asked. Not so good. But after I win the race tomorrow, he'll get better. Doc Smith thinks so too. Lester smiled. I admire you, Willy. You got a heap of courage, going up against the likes of Stone Fox. You know he's never lost, don't you? Yes, I know. Thank you for the medicine. Little Willy waved goodbye as Searchlight started off down Main Street. Lester watched the departing sled for a long time before he yelled, Good luck, son! On his way out of town along North Road, Little Willy heard dogs barking. The sounds came from the old deserted barns near the schoolhouse. Little Willy decided to investigate. He squeaked open the barn door and peeked in. It was dark inside and he couldn't see anything. He couldn't hear anything either. The dogs had stopped barking. He went inside the barn. Little Willy's eyes took a while to get used to the dark, and then he saw them. The 5 Samoyeds. They were in the corner of the barn on a bed of straw. They were looking at him. Here's a picture of Little Willy with all the dogs. They were so beautiful that Little Willy couldn't keep from smiling. Little Willy loved dogs. He had to see the Samoyeds up close. They showed no alarm as he approached, or as he held out his hand to pet them. And then it happened. There was a movement right through the darkness to Little Willy's right. A sweeping motion, fast at first, then it appeared to slow and stop. But it didn't stop. A hand hit Little Willy right in the face, sending him over backwards. I didn't mean any harm, Mr. Stone Fox, Little Willy said as he picked himself up off the ground, holding a hand over his eye. Stone Fox stood tall in the darkness and said nothing. Searchlight barked outside. The Samoyeds barked in return. Little Willy continued, I'm going to race against you tomorrow. I know you want to win, but I want to win too. I gotta win. If I don't, they're going to take away our farm. They have the right. Grandfather says that those that want to bad enough will. So I will. I'll win. I'm going to beat you. Stone Fox remained motionless and silent. Little Willy backed over to the barn door, still holding his eye. I'm sorry we can't both win, he said. Then he pushed open the barn door and left, closing the door behind him. In the barn, Stone Fox stood unmoving for another moment. Then he reached out with one massive hand and gently petted one of the Samoyeds. That night, Little Willy couldn't sleep. His eye was killing him. And when Little Willy couldn't sleep, Searchlight couldn't sleep. Both tossed and turned for hours, and whenever Little Willy looked over to see if Searchlight was asleep, she'd just be laying there with her eyes wide open, staring back at him. Little Willy needed his rest. So did Searchlight. Tomorrow was going to be a big day. The biggest day of their lives. Tune back in tomorrow, guys, and we're going to read about the big day.